Hello everyone and welcome to the Commexis Cast, all the news you need to know from our inbox to yours. Today we're talking about Google taking a stance against review gating. Hello everyone, I'm Matthew McGrory, the videographer and a podcaster here at Commexis, and today I am joined by the SEO project manager here at Commexis, Amy Leach.
Hello.
So today we're talking about Google updating their user guidelines for review gating. So for those of you who don't know what review gating is, it is basically filtering candidates for review before you get to have them actually place review. So for example, that was not the best explanation actually. So for example, if, say, me and Amy, we run a business and we send out an email to our clients and say, hey, give us a review. Did you have a negative experience? Did you have a positive experience? So if they have a positive experience, we will have them go and put a review in on, say, Google. And if they have a negative experience, we will request they privately address it to us, and then we're able to answer.
Usually not letting them know it's private, I would say, too.
There's I don't want to say an underhanded tactic.
Yeah, maybe
but
a little bit.
You just don't let them know. Exactly.
Right.
So that's basically what happens, and then obviously the positive review gets shown on the Google review page, so it's all nice and pretty,
right.
And then you never get to see any of the negative reviews at all. So why, Amy, do business owners do this in the first place?
Well, I mean, I think, it's kind of obvious. The more positive reviews you have, the better your business might be doing. The more likely people are going to be to come shop at your business, eat at your restaurant, come to you for services, what have you. Most small business owners especially are a little bit scared of negative reviews. They don't want to discourage people from coming to them. They do believe they're doing a good job and want other people to believe they're doing a good job, naturally. So review gating has been done as a means to just try to let people air their grievances more privately, and hopefully address them. I mean, the idea is still to address the grievance, just that it's not a public grievance like you would get through Google or Facebook or any other review platform.
So why does Google not like review gating?
Well, naturally, what Google's trying to do is to try to put the best businesses forward. That's ideally their goal. That's what they're trying to figure out through what they're gaining from your website and from how people react to your website, is they're trying to put the stuff that people seem to respond most positively to forward. So they'd like honest opinions. They don't want to put a restaurant at the top because it's got all these 5-star reviews, and in reality a lot of people have had very negative experiences through them, and somebody's going to say, hey, Google, you said this pizza place had 5 stars. It was the worst pizza place I've ever been to,
Yeah, there was a big issue a while ago, I remember, with Amazon having a very similar problem of having a lot of reviews that were very clearly just, here's all the positive ones, and somebody was trying to stop them from getting
trying
ones.
to hold it back.
So not excellent. Obviously, customers are going to be using their discretion, but I do think it is certainly something that Google's keeping an eye on. So how do you suggest, since Google is going to be sort of taking away these, or don't want to say taking away, very clearly making sure that they are, that they are against it. So for example, some of the things that Google could take action on if you are reported for doing review gating from here on out is they could remove all of your reviews. Optionally, they could remove all of your views from a certain point of time. For example, if you're offering an incentive for people to review, they could go, well, you started offering this here, we're going to take every review from here onward and get rid of it. So that is a definite real possibility. Right.
So most likely they're going to hit you on everything you've done since you started review gating forward, which if you've been doing it for a long time, a lot of people
that could be
have.
A lot of stuff,
That could be years worth of reviews, depending. And this was something that was completely acceptable. A lot of people did it. A lot of people, definitely do it. So it's more to be aware that it's a thing that happened. I don't necessarily think Google's going to look back retrospectively unless they're hitting you on this, and then they might take a different approach. So, I would say that it's something we definitely want to encourage people to stop doing, so that they don't end up, losing 2-3 years worth of reviews thanks to Google picking up on it.
Absolutely. So what would you suggest then in the case of clients now having to actually answer to these negative reviews?
Well, obviously, if you get a lot of negative reviews, if there's anything you can do to consider how you're going about your practices, if you know that people are complaining about something, it might be time to take a look and take a step back and see, do we understand how this might be upsetting people? Is there a different approach we might be able to take to avoid anybody having a negative experience in the first place? Maybe more realistic expectations, making sure we're a little more honest, what have you, whatever might upset a person.
Yeah.
So if you, in the instance you get a negative review, remember that, I can't speak for everybody, but I know when I read a negative review, I do genuinely try to read into the negative review. Is this a person who's really trying to help me and give me really good information? Or is this a person who maybe had expectations that were too high on their own accord? Is this a person who's got an axe to grind over something else? Is this a person who maybe likes to complain a lot? So do remember that some people are aware when they're looking at something that
they're using some amount of introspection to go, okay, well, this person is clearly just really mad or something like that.
Right. I always hotel reviews are a great example. If somebody tells me they found 3 cockroaches in their room, I'm not going to stay at that hotel.
Yeah.
This is genuinely helpful information, and the hotel owner better do something about that. If somebody's going to complain that they didn't like the pillow or, or something like that, then I might go, I'll just bring my own pillow. This is fine. Everything else sounds okay, What I would recommend is having a good policy in place for responding to reviews. Respond fairly promptly. You don't want to wait 6 months before you say something to somebody.
Yeah.
Respond genuinely. Maybe have a practice in place. If somebody has a negative experience, is there something you can give them? Is there somebody they can reach out to? Something to kind of say, hey, I am so sorry that you left upset, that you were not happy with our service. Please reach out to us. We want to make it up to you. We want to offer you something. We want to give you something. We want to let you air your grievances, whatever. Just something that says that you are aware when people have a bad time and you try to make it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a really great point that you brought up in, being willing to admit fault, even if in your eyes potentially you don't necessarily see it.
There's that the customer is always right kind of thing, which anybody who works in service or what have you can say, no, they're not. They're absolutely not always right. But as far as they're concerned, they are.
Yes.
So anything to kind of say, gee, I'm sorry you had a bad time.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you and make it up to you, what have you. I wouldn't necessarily make a promise. I wouldn't say, here's a $20 gift card. You might find their grievances a little bit... you don't want them saying they said they were going to give me something and then they didn't, have another bad review. Just try to show concern, express that you want people to have a good time, or to feel good about working with your business, and that you want to try to make it right.
Absolutely. So there was actually just sort of pigeon-tailing off of that. Pigeon-tailing, that's an interesting new phrase I just made up, I guess. So the digital marketing agency Location 3 had released a study about a week or so ago that argued that more review stars translates into higher paid search conversion rates. Now, of course, that sounds really obvious. The more stars you have, the more likely people are going to look at your stuff and say, hey, that's pretty good. But they didn't just say that. They also showed that business review response rates also improved paid search performance. So basically, businesses that were actually responding to these reviews, whether they be really negative reviews or positive reviews or neutral reviews, actually had a higher paid search performance. So businesses with the highest response rate, 8.13%, saw an average conversion rate of 13.86%, and businesses with the lowest response rate, 5.73%, saw an average conversion rate of 10.42%. So about a 3% increase in conversion just by having reviews and being willing to talk to your customers, basically.
I think most savvy consumers, and we always have to remember, Google's been around long enough now that people know how to use it, they know what they're looking for. Google knows this, we know this. So we can't pretend that people, it's not to say that they don't put in searches that maybe are inappropriate or fully understand it, but they have a pretty good idea. Reviews are a big part of it. People like to see reviews. Think of it from a personal perspective. If you're about to hire a business and you have no preconceived notion, it wasn't recommended to you by a friend or colleague or what have you, you kind of want to know somebody liked it.
Yeah,
that somebody had a good experience if you can. So it's not too surprising that it would affect the conversion rate positively to have that.
And I think a good inverse to that as well is so for example, say I'm on Amazon or something and I'm looking at products, I do find it sketchy if something has a lot of really good reviews and absolutely no bad reviews. Of course, depending on what you're buying and depending on, for example, what business you're going to or what business you have, that will change, obviously. But when I always think about it is, I would rather see something that has a lot of good reviews and then a couple bad reviews that don't seem to be the consistent case than just, oh, here's a bunch of really good reviews and I'm wondering, well, if there's a bunch of good reviews, I'm sure there's bad reviews somewhere that I'm just not seeing, right?
Sure. I think everybody has different expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So what I might find to be completely satisfactory and I leave a business feeling very happy with my service, another person might say, you know what? They could have done better.
It's true.
You know, and I also would say with reviews, and I'm sure there are people who just go, oh, it's got 3 stars. You know, this one had 5. I know those people exist. But even things like, I know I was looking at a restaurant recently and the reviews on the food were great. It was the delivery that weren't good.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, so they have 3 stars, but most everybody who's complaining is complaining solely about the delivery service, not about the food.
So if
I go into the restaurant, I'm probably going to have a good experience, you know.
There you go.
So.
All right. Well, thank everybody for tuning in to today's episode of the Commexis Cast Daily. Check us out tomorrow for more of the latest trending news, and check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn for taking us on the go. Thank you very much.